Welcome to The Explainer. If you're a CEO or a senior leader, you probably know this feeling all too well. 12 meetings a day, pinged 100 times, resolving escalations, constantly putting out fires. But then you get to the end of the week and you can't quite pinpoint what actually moved forward. Well, let's dive right into this, because this isn't just a scheduling issue. Today, we're unpacking Manoj Ankar's powerful framework to kill busyness and reclaim your impact. I want you to look in the mirror for a second and really ask yourself, are you building a high-performance organization or just a busy one? It's a tough question, I know. But in most modern organizations, we suffer from this fundamental confusion between movement and progress. We see a team in constant motion and we think, wow, great momentum. But when we actually put it under a microscope, it's just activity.
There's this trap called the busyness cycle that perfectly captures how we get stuck. It all kicks off with unclarity, like a vague purpose or a blurry strategy. Without a solid filter for making decisions, people just default to overactivity. They react to literally everything that feels urgent. That spreads your organization incredibly thin, it dilutes time and resources, and it inevitably leads to shallow results. Frustration and exhaustion set in. And the crazy part? How do leaders and teams cope with that frustration? They create even more busyness to escape the discomfort. It's this vicious loop that just repeats itself until somebody steps up and breaks it.
Section 1. The Illusion of Progress.
To really grasp the sheer scale of this illusion, think about a recent workshop with 30 leaders from a 20,000-person company. They were asked a really simple question. What percentage of your time is spent on internal follow-ups? The average response was a jaw-dropping 60 to 70%. Seriously, just think about that for a second. Up to 70% of an organization's time is eaten up having meetings about meetings, chasing down work that was already agreed on, rather than creating actual value.
Which leads us to a pretty severe diagnosis. If your organization needs follow-up to move, you have dangerous busyness syndrome. Let that reality sink in. An organization that runs on follow-up is an organization running on surveillance, not trust.
Section 2. Extractive versus regenerative management.
So, how did we end up building surveillance machines instead of trust? It basically comes down to a century-old blind spot, extractive management. When you treat people as human resources, basically fuel to be consumed, you create what are known as the three silences. First, you get the silence of the head. Independent thinking is suppressed, ideas stop flowing. Then, the silence of the heart. People disengage, doing only what they're strictly told to do, completely withholding their creativity and care. And finally, the deepest void, the silence of the soul, where purpose just evaporates. And since nature abhors a vacuum, what rushes in to fill this massive empty void? You guessed it, busyness.
The alternative is a massive paradigm shift. We have to move from extractive to regenerative management. Instead of seeing people as resources to use up, we need to see them as sources to partner with. When you do that, you multiply your team's potential over time, you build deep capability, and you transition your focus from just surviving the day to actually building a legacy. It's literally the only genuine path to 100x impact.
Section 3. The ROAR model. Okay, so how do we actually implement this shift? We do it through a rigorous, demanding pathway called the ROAR model. It stands for 4 non-negotiable steps. Number 1, reflect. You have to confront the busyness you've personally created and allowed. Number 2, own. Take absolute responsibility. Zero excuses. You are the source. Number 3, assert. Set non-negotiable standards for yourself first and then your leadership team. And number 4, run. Build high performance as a sustained daily practice.
Notice that this isn't some one-time checklist. It operates continuously. True high performance doesn't happen because you worked a 14-hour day or added more effort. It happens when clarity, standards, and ownership are architected directly into the organization's DNA.
Section 4. Purpose and strategic choice.
To eliminate that unclarity and run the ROR model effectively, you absolutely need a North Star. Now, I know some executives dismiss purpose as fluffy HR talk, but the data is completely undeniable. Purpose-led companies see valuations 4 times higher. They deliver a compound annual growth rate 5 times the S&P 500. And employees who find meaning at work, they are 4 times more likely to report high engagement. So no, purpose isn't soft. It is hardcore performance architecture that decides what gets your energy and exactly what you walk away from.
Without that purpose, you end up with a busy organization, active everywhere, but decisive nowhere, because everything is a priority. Real focused strategy requires the courage to say no.
It means rigorously answering things like, which customers do you serve? What needs do you fulfill? What is your unique advantage? Once you nail those down, you must have the discipline to decline everything else.
Section 5. The competency chain.
But listen, even with a purpose and a laser-focused strategy, you still need the capability to execute. And this is where a real domino effect of disaster can begin. It's called the competency chain, and it shows how one single compromise at the top creates systemic failure down the line. Imagine you're in a rush, so you compromise on recruitment. The wrong person enters. Because they aren't a fit, training gets compromised. That ends up pushing completely unprepared people into leadership roles, which cascades down into inconsistent delivery, furious clients, and eventually an eroding brand. It's practically a law of organizational physics. Compromise at the point of entry, and you compromise everything downstream. Settling for good enough is the very architecture of busyness. When you hire just to fill a seat quickly, you aren't saving time. You are guaranteeing endless cycles of future busyness, just trying to manage that massive capability gap.
We've covered some truly transformative ground in this explainer today, from recognizing the dangerous illusion of progress and the toll of extractive management to finally breaking the cycle through the ROAR model. We've seen that driving 100x impact demands an unshakable purpose, razor-sharp strategic choices, and absolute zero compromises on your competency chain. So I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Will you continue managing busyness, or will you choose to build a legacy? The frameworks are right in front of you, but the choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope this sparks a completely new trajectory for your leadership.